Hey everyone, Generation Y Conservative here, and today we just went to see the movie Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast. So, in the last review, we actually reviewed Kong Skull Island, and I dragged my wife along to that. So this time, we went in the other direction and went to see a movie that I knew she would really like. With Beauty and the Beast, it's a little personal history for me, is that Beauty and the Beast was actually the first movie that I ever went to see in the theaters. So it kind of holds a special little place in my own heart as far as its placement in movie history and everything. But it stars Emma Watson as Belle. It has Luke Evans as Gaston. Summon Stevens is the guy that plays the Beast. And there were a couple other surprise appearances by people as well. I mean, Cogsworth was actually Sir Ian McKellen, who plays Magneto in the X-Men movies, and Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings and everything. And then there was, I forget his name, but the guy who plays, who was the piano, or the French piano, whatever that was called.
Harpsichord? Is that
Harpsichord, and he was the main guy in the Hunger Games, who was the host, the extravagant host and everything. So that was pretty interesting. What did you think about the movie? Before we get into the spoiler type stuff, what did you think about the movie overall of the direction?
Overall, I really liked it. Honestly, I know I've seen the cartoon version, but it's been so long I don't really know the details of it. But I thought it was a great movie. It was very well done. I enjoyed it.
Okay. I'll go a little deeper on the details. I happen to be, to the dismay of some of my friends, a fan of musicals. I actually love musical movies. I loved Moulin Rouge. I like Rock of Ages is one of my favorite musical movies because it takes my favorite genre of music, which was 80s rock music, and turned it into a movie. And this one, I think, to be honest with you, it sets the stage for where Disney needs to move forward with all of their movies in the future. This becomes, in my mind, the bar for what they need to do with movies, because the musicals in this movie set a grand stage. I mean, the amount of people that are involved in the musicals, the whole town is literally in song when she's walking through in the beginning. You have
the choreography is very complicated.
Choreography was amazing. And the fact that, in the original animated movie, the scene where what's the candle, his name? Lumiere, yeah. So in the original movie, in the first dinner scene where they serve her dinner and it's a big spectacle, in the cartoon, you're like, they couldn't possibly bring that to life. They brought it to life in this movie. It was amazing. And I thought the acting was phenomenal. I don't know. I have to look into it to see if Emma Watson and all them actually were singing.
I was going to say, she sounded really good.
It was great. And you can tone people's voices in different directions. But I said to Leslie here when we left the movie, to me, it was taking the cartoon and just bringing it to life. I thought it was amazing. I really thought it was amazing. The acting was pretty phenomenal. I think Emma Watson, I couldn't see her being Belle until first scene in the movie. I mean, she sold it for me, and if you've seen in some of the entertainment news lately, it actually came out that Disney released their upcoming schedule of all the Marvel movies and everything else coming out. And they are taking an active stance of bringing all the original animated princess movies to life into live action things.
They did that with Cinderella a few years ago.
Yes, and so that's where they're moving though. And I think that Cinderella and things like Maleficent and all that other stuff really set the stage for them to say, okay, this is actually what people want. So we're actually going to move forward with this. I don't know the exact schedule offhand, but I know within the next couple of years, Mulan is going to be one of the ones coming out. But getting back to the acting, I think Emma Watson did a fantastic job. Is it Chris Klein that plays her father? I believe it's Chris Klein. He did a fantastic job as her father, too.
Yeah, I thought it was very well done.
Luke Evans was Gaston, and, you know, the problem I had watching him in the previews and getting into him in the movie is when you think of Gaston, you think of, like, a hulking macho man, you know, like, just ripping, like, with muscle and everything. But an enemy is an enemy. It's all in the attitude and how you sell this pompous, arrogant guy.
I think he did a great job selling that.
He did, yeah.
You pretty much had a distaste for him from the first scene.
Exactly. Yeah, and then, you know, there were obviously humorous parts with everything, especially Gaston looking in the mirror and talking to himself about how wonderful and beautiful he is and everything.
You are the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. Nobody deserves you.
The controversy, seeing as if this is the Generation Y conservative podcast, politically, the controversy that was out there was in regards to LeFou, which actually means the fool in French. From what I understand, I don't want to jump on anybody's language barriers or anything, but the controversy was that this was Disney's first live-action, openly gay character, and that that he really had this thing for Gaston, and in the end, with a dance scene, that was going to be a big payoff. And I waited around to see the movie and actually see what people were saying about it. And what happened was it caused such an uproar before the movie actually came out that a lot of people were starting to boycott it as it was beforehand. And when it finally did come out, it seems like the left jumped on and said this was horrible to present a gay person as this foolish person that fawns all over a guy and makes a fool of himself, and then the payoff scene that was supposed to be a huge payoff scene for the LGBT community in the end was just two guys that end up dancing together and look at each other with a quick second look, you know?
Yeah.
And it was nothing. So the gay LGBT community actually got really pissed off, from what I understand, about this being just a letdown for them. So to me, the way I looked at it is that it seemed like they hyped up this whole situation with LeFou in regards to what he was going to be in the movie, just to create a controversy to sell tickets. And then I think it backfired on them, because to piss off that community then and use this as a launching pad for what they feel is a social agenda and then let that crowd down, that's got to be pretty embarrassing for them, I think.
So I don't think his behavior was all that. So I kind of went into it thinking, would I let my kids see this?
Yep.
So honestly, LeFou's behavior, I just thought he was a super clingy friend, like just one of those friends that's so, like, he just wants to be his friend because his friend is so cool, and that's really what I took out of it. It was more the two other things that to me seemed more...
The wardrobe part?
The wardrobe part, that guy was very effeminate.
Yeah, but it was funny.
It was funny, and I don't think our kids would get it.
No, I don't think any...
And then the look at the end was very...
I was waiting for something, and it went by so fast. It was
very quick, but it was very blatant. As an adult, I could see, I think the director was going to make a point. Yeah. But as a kid, I'm not so sure my kids would pick up. No. I mean, they might say, like, why is that man dressed as a woman? That's silly, but that's probably the extent of it.
Here's one of the other funniest things that I ran into in listening. I forget who exactly said it, but they said with this whole controversy over LeFou being gay, everyone's overlooking the fact that you're expecting a girl to fall in love with an animal, which is bestiality. So it's like, you're really concerned about this aspect over here?
It was a very humanized animal, though. Yeah.
I mean, it gets to be a little bit ridiculous. But, I mean, that's kind of the funny point. All in all, you know, I don't think we need any spoilers. I mean, if you've seen the cartoon, you know what Beauty and the Beast is. Yeah, exactly. I would give this on a scale of 1 to 10 in regards to Disney and their lore of all the films that they go into with the princess storyline and everything. I would give this a 9 out of 10. And the only reason why I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 is because the songs that weren't originally in the movie that they actually made for this movie seemed a little on the nose as far as what the point was they were trying to get, the message of that, what was going on, the scenes around those songs, and I didn't think that the songs were that good. They weren't as memorable as Tale as Old as Time and everything.
Yeah. I was gonna lean towards an 8 or a 9, but I thought it was spectacularly done. I didn't appreciate, even though it wasn't a big part of the movie, it did feel like an agenda was being pushed slightly. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's necessary. You just stick with the story and tell the story. But
would it have been such a big agenda if it wasn't a big deal made of it beforehand?
I think if they didn't say anything, it wouldn't really be known.
Exactly. So that's why I kind of leave that out as something to not consider in my score. But yeah, I think it was a fantastic movie. As far as bringing kids to it, I don't see a problem with it at all. Trying to think of what else to say.
I think the special effects were very good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's actually something else I wanted to talk about, was in regards to how the characters of the inanimate objects that are brought to life look. They did a fantastic job with that, but I think they could have done better. I think if they had tried to copy the originals as much as possible for the look and style of them, it would have looked a lot better.
See, I don't have that much of a recollection of the original, so that didn't bother me. I was looking at the Beast and all the hair, and I know that CG hair is really hard to produce.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he looked very realistic to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's one thing I was most concerned about when the trailer released last year, was quickly seeing him. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look like the Beast we're accustomed to. But Lumiere, in the original one, it basically, the candlestick holder came up to his chin and was basically his chin rest, and then his face was a part of the candle.
That's right.
So it was a little weird, like the whole bronzed face over and everything. But at the same time, instead of having just a candlestick one leg, he was walking around and dancing because he had two legs. It was just all a bronze figure, you know. So I recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that Disney, like I said, set a bar, and it's a fantastic movie, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that is either getting into this type of stuff for the first time with Disney, or those of us that grew up on these movies that were originally animated. I can't stress enough how just mind-blowing the choreography and singing of a grand scale of people was in this movie. I thought it was fantastic. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out the movie review. It didn't take as long as some of the other ones, but the next movies that I'm going to be reviewing, I definitely know that the new Fast and the Furious movie coming out is going to be coming up soon. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Wonder Woman this summer. We talked about on the last podcast, it is coming out in September, and that looks fantastic.
I'm not going to that one.
And Spider-Man Homecoming is coming up within the next 2 months. So stick around. We have more reviews coming. I appreciate you guys being here. Have a great day, and God bless America.
She is the one.